My name is Lillian Carter. I own Carter Colors, a company that's made a big splash in the world of art supplies. I've worked my butt off to get where I am, and at 35, I felt like I was on top of the world. It was at a trade show in New York where my life took a turn that I hadn't seen coming. Walking through the crowded venue, I could hear the buzz about the latest trends in art materials. That's where I bumped into Ethan Gray. You could say he was famous, or more like infamous, in the art circles. His paintings sold for thousands, and his personal life filled just as many gossip columns. Lillian Carter, right? Ethan's voice cut through the noise as he approached my booth, his eyes scanning the vibrant display of aerosol paints. That's me, I replied, extending a hand. And you're Ethan Gray. Seen your work, heard a lot more. He flashed a grin, his gaze still lingering on the cans. We ended up talking over drinks after the show. Ethan was charming, no doubt about it, and he knew how to make a girl feel like she was the only one in the room. So, Lillian, how'd you get into this gig? Ethan asked, swirling his drink. Started in my garage. Just me, some paint, and too many ideas. Now it's this, I said, spreading my arms wide. What about you? Always a painter? Kind of fell into it, he shrugged. But let's talk more about you. Your stuff's everywhere. Bet you're killing it. The conversation flowed as easily as the drinks, and by the end of the night, I was pretty taken with him. Ethan wasn't just interested in my business, he seemed genuinely into me. It was refreshing, considering most men were either intimidated or just wanted to talk shop. A few months flew by, and Ethan was everywhere I was. Art shows, gallery openings, you name it. He always made sure he was seen with me, and I won't lie, I liked the attention. One evening, as we closed down a particularly successful gallery event, Ethan pulled me aside. The room was buzzing with the last few art enthusiasts, but he had that look in his eyes that said he needed to talk. Lillian, these past months with you have been incredible, he started, his voice low. You're amazing, you know that? I blushed, feeling a mix of excitement and nerves. Thanks, Ethan. I've enjoyed it too. A lot. He took a deep breath, his hand finding mine. I don't want to just date, Lillian. I'm in this. All in. What do you say? The question caught me off guard. Here was a man who'd been the talk of the town, known for his fleeting romances, and he was looking at me like I was his next masterpiece. I say, let's do it, I replied, my voice steadier than I felt. That night, Ethan asked me to marry him in a way that was both shocking and utterly perfect. It wasn't long before we were planning a wedding that was bound to be as colorful as my paints. After our whirlwind wedding, which was the talk of the town, Ethan and I moved into a spacious new house that I had picked out, imagining kids running around, their laughter filling up the halls. It was a big step, buying that place, but I felt it was right. It felt like our future was starting to take shape right before my eyes. To sweeten our new beginning, I surprised Ethan with a sleek new car. For all the times you'll drive back from your studio, all inspired and messy, I joked as I handed him the keys. He laughed, hugged me tight, and said it was more than he deserved. I got one for myself too, so I guess we both deserve the best, I shot back with a grin. Ethan continued working out of his old studio across town, despite my suggestions to set one up at home. Babe, I'm a creature of habit. That old studio, it's got the vibes, the history. Can't just leave that behind, he'd explain every time I brought it up. I didn't push it, I respected his space and his process. Plus, I was busy too, launching a new store downtown, expanding Carter Colors. One evening, as we were relaxing on our back porch, Ethan brought up a new project he was dreaming about. Lil, I've got this idea, something big. But I'm a bit strapped right now, he said, looking out into the yard, his voice unusually hesitant. What kind of big? I asked, intrigued. A new series of paintings. Different from anything I've done before. I want to experiment, push boundaries, he explained, his eyes lighting up as he spoke. That sounds amazing, Ethan. So, what's holding you back? I leaned in, always excited to see him passionate about his work. Funds, babe. It's a costly venture, and I'm a bit tight financially. I need $100,000, he admitted, scratching the back of his head. Without a second thought, I replied, "Why didn't you just say so? Let's finance it." "Lillian, you are incredible. Seriously, the most generous woman in the world," he said, his voice thick with emotion. I brushed off his praise with a wave of my hand. "Stop it. Just go make those masterpieces." The money went into his account, and soon after, Ethan's project kicked off. We'd go to his exhibitions together, and it was hard not to feel proud as I watched him talk about his art, the crowds hanging on his every word. I felt like we were a power couple, making our marks in our respective fields. One night, after an especially successful opening, we celebrated over dinner. "You see, Lil, this is all because of you. You inspire me," Ethan said, reaching across the table to squeeze my hand. "Nah, it's all you, babe. I just provided the canvas, you're the one making the magic happen," I replied, squeezing back. "But seriously, I don't know what I'd do without you," he continued, his gaze intense. "Let's not find out, okay?" I joked, trying to keep the mood light. As we clinked glasses, I felt like everything was falling into place. The night of Ethan's birthday was supposed to be perfect. I had everything planned down to the last detail: dinner at one of the city's most exclusive restaurants, followed by a helicopter ride over the glittering skyline. I wore my favorite red dress, the one Ethan said made me look like $1,000,000. I arrived early, a bundle of nerves and excitement. The maitre d' showed me to our table, a secluded spot with a view of the city lights. I ordered a glass of wine and waited, my heart pounding with anticipation. Half an hour late, Ethan finally walked in, but not alone. My heart sank as I saw him enter with a young woman on his arm, laughing at something he'd said. My stomach churned as they approached the table. "Lillian, I need to talk to you," Ethan said, his voice serious all of a sudden. I looked from him to the woman, my eyes wide. "This better be good, Ethan. Who's this?" "This is Lana," he introduced her, and she gave me a small, almost mocking wave. "Look, Lillian, I'll be straight with you. I've fallen for Lana. We're in love, and I'm going to marry her." His words hit like a punch to the gut. Lana, standing a bit too close to Ethan, looked at me with a smirk. "Sorry you had to find out this way," she said, her tone anything but apologetic. Ethan handed me an envelope. "I've filed for divorce. And I'll need half of everything we acquired together." I stared at the papers in my hands, my whole body shaking. I felt numb, unable to fully grasp the betrayal. The love and life I thought we were building crumbled before my eyes. As they turned to leave, Lana glanced back and waved at me with a malicious smile. The sight of it filled me with a cold rage. But I just sat there, silent, watching them walk away. After they left, I downed my wine in one gulp and dialed Laura, my best friend. She picked up on the first ring. "Laura, it's me. Can I come over? It's Ethan, he's leaving me. For another woman." "Oh, Lil, I'm so sorry. Come right over, honey. We'll figure this out." I left the restaurant and headed straight to Laura's. The drive over was a blur, my mind racing and heartbreaking. When I arrived, Laura was waiting at the door, her face full of concern. Inside, we sat on the couch, and I poured out the whole sordid story. Laura listened, her face growing angrier by the minute. "He wants what? Half of everything? That no good, two-timing." "Yeah, the house, the cars, even the new store," I said, my voice hollow. "I bought all that thinking we were building a future. We need to fight back, Lillian. This is outright theft." Laura's outrage mirrored my own. "Let's find someone who can dig up dirt on him. If he's been planning this, who knows what else he's hiding." That night, I slept at Laura's place, my dreams a chaotic swirl of betrayal and whispered plans of revenge. The fight was just beginning, and I was ready to claim what was rightfully mine. The next morning, we were running on adrenaline and caffeine, ready to set our plan into motion. We found a private detective named Hank through a recommendation, and we wasted no time meeting him to discuss our situation. Morning, ladies. What brings you to my part of town? Hank asked, his office cluttered with files and old coffee cups. Morning, Hank. We've got a bit of a situation. My soon-to-be ex-husband, he's pulled a fast one on me. I began, trying to keep my voice steady. Laura jumped in, her voice firm. We need dirt, Hank. The kind that sticks. This guy's been playing my friend here for a fool, and we're not about to let him get away with it. Got it. Names, places, any details you've got. I'll start digging. Hank's fingers flew over his keyboard as we provided him with everything he needed. Over the next week, Laura and I were on edge, waiting for any news. Finally, Hank called us back to his office, with a grim look on his face. Found more than I bargained for, he said, handing us a thick file. Your guy, he's been seeing this mistress of his for months. Fancy trips, expensive gifts, and yeah, that new apartment on the coast? It's in his name, bought with your money. The betrayal stung anew, but now it was mixed with a fiery anger. Can we make this public? I mean, legally? I asked, thumbing through the documents. Laura, ever the strategist, had another idea. Wait, my cousin's a producer for that morning talk show, Daybreak Delights. What if Lillian goes public there? A live tell-all? Perfect. Let's burn his little castle down with the truth, I agreed, feeling a surge of empowerment. We arranged for me to appear on the show. The night before, I was a bundle of nerves, but Laura stayed on the phone with me, rehearsing what I would say. The morning of the show, I sat across from the host, a sympathetic woman named Marcy. Today, we have Lillian Carter, who's here to share a troubling personal story involving deception and betrayal. Lillian? Taking a deep breath, I looked into the camera. Thank you, Marcy. Yes, I'm here because I believe in standing up against deceit. My husband, whom I trusted with my heart and my finances, has been living a double life. With my money, he funded his affairs and lied about his business ventures. The host interjected, and you have proof of these claims? I nodded, passing over the documents Hank had compiled. Receipts, bank statements, even property deeds. All funded through the money I gave him, believing in his integrity. The response was immediate. Viewers began commenting, the phone started ringing, and by the end of the day, I had messages from several of Ethan's ex-wives. They shared similar stories of deception and theft. Bolstered by public support, I filed a lawsuit against Ethan for fraud. The case quickly became a local sensation, with more and more people coming forward with their own encounters with Ethan's duplicity. After the initial bombshell on Daybreak Delights, the story of Ethan's duplicity spread like wildfire. Other women, once silenced by fear and shame, now stepped forward, eager to share their stories on the very platform that had emboldened them. The talk show's producers, sensing the depth and reach of the story, organized a special segment. It wasn't just about me or Ethan, it was about a pattern, a repeated betrayal that spanned years and victims. I stood backstage, listening to the quiet murmur of the other women gathering, their voices a mix of nervousness and resolve. Lillian, you ready for this? Laura asked, her hand reassuring on my shoulder. As I'll ever be, I replied, taking a deep breath. It's not just my fight anymore. We walked onto the set, a chorus of applause greeting us. Marcy, the host, welcomed each of us with a warmth that eased some of the tension from our shoulders. Ladies, thank you for being here today, Marcy started, her voice serious, her eyes sweeping across the group. What you're doing is incredibly brave. Lillian, can you introduce us to these courageous women? With a nod, I turned slightly to address the audience, both in the studio and beyond the cameras. These women, like me, were charmed by a man we thought we knew. But behind the love and promises were lies that cost us more than just broken hearts. They cost us our trust, our security. One by one, the women shared their tales. The pattern was starkly similar: whirlwind romances, quick commitments, and then the slow, painful realization of being used. He told me he needed money for a new gallery, one woman said, her voice faltering. I sold my late mother's jewelry to help him. And then he vanished. Another spoke up, her anger palpable. He said he was investing in our future, but he was funding his lavish trips with his mistresses. The trial that followed was a media spectacle. Ethan, with his slick lawyers and smoother talk, tried to paint himself as the misunderstood artist, but the evidence was overwhelming. The judge ruled in our favor, recognizing the systematic deception Ethan had woven into our lives. The court finds the defendant guilty of fraud and orders restitution to the victims, the judge declared, her gavel a satisfying sound in the heavy silence that followed. However, the aftermath was as surprising as the ordeal itself. Ethan's notoriety, rather than crippling his career, seemed to enhance it. His art, now more infamous than ever, skyrocketed in value. The scandal, it seemed, was a perverse sort of publicity. Months after the trial, Ethan's voice unexpectedly filled my living room, his laughter ringing through the phone in a call I never expected to receive. "Lillian, darling, I must thank you," he sneered, his voice oozing false sweetness. "What are you talking about, Ethan?" I replied, my grip tightening around the phone. "Oh, come now. Thanks to your little stunt, my paintings are selling at triple the price. Scandal really does wonders for the art world," he boasted, arrogance dripping from every word. I was silent, processing his audacity. "And to top it off," he continued, the smirk practically audible, "I've married again. A young, beautiful thing. Far superior to you in every way." His words were meant to wound, and they did, momentarily. But as he laughed and hung up, a fire built inside me. Hank called on time, at a time when I was considering new ways to get back at Ethan. "Lillian, you're gonna want to sit down for this," Hank's voice was thick with urgency. "What's up, Hank? What did you find now?" My heart skipped a beat, wondering what bombshell was left to drop. "It's big, Lil. I mean, career-ending big for Ethan. Meet me as soon as you can," he said. I agreed, curiosity and a twinge of that old, familiar rage stirring in my belly. At Hank's office, the evidence laid out was undeniable, shocking even to me, seasoned by now in Ethan's capacity for deceit. But this was different. This was massive. Armed with the new information, I couldn't just walk away. Not when justice was screaming to be served one final time. The opportunity came sooner than expected. Ethan was being celebrated at a high-profile art exhibition. Politicians, business moguls, the who's who of society would be there. And so, I decided, would I, with a +1 whose identity would shake the very foundations of Ethan's pretentious little empire. The night of the exhibition, I was a bundle of nerves and resolve. Beside me was Alex, a shy, young artist with a brilliant talent and a significant role in the night's unfolding drama. As we entered, Ethan, ever the charmer, was surrounded by admirers, his new wife, Lana, glittering beside him. Ethan's eyes narrowed the moment he saw me, his smile faltering as he noticed Alex. His discomfort was palpable, and he looked like he'd seen a ghost. As the speeches began, I felt every heartbeat, every tick of the clock acutely. When it came time for Ethan to speak about his original works, I knew it was showtime. "Excuse me, can I have a moment?" I stepped forward, microphone in hand, my voice steady. The room fell silent, all eyes on me. "Thank you," I began, smiling sweetly at the confused faces around me. "I know you're all here to honor Ethan, but I want to introduce you to someone very special. Alex, come up here." Alex joined me, his nervousness clear but his resolve strong. I nodded at him, and he began the slideshow he'd prepared. The first slide displayed a familiar painting, one Ethan claimed as his own. "Lovely, isn't it?" I continued, as slide after slide showed beautiful artworks. All created by Alex here, not by Ethan. The revelation that Ethan Gray had no original talent and had been passing off someone else's art as his own hit the crowd like a tidal wave. The grand hall, once filled with the murmur of admiration, was now abuzz with shock and indignation. Alex stood beside me, his presence calm yet powerful against the storm of reactions. His admission on the stage, backed by undeniable evidence of contracts and payments, mere crumbs compared to the fortunes Ethan had made, was the final nail in the coffin of Ethan's career. "I was hired by Ethan years ago," Alex's voice echoed in the hall, now hushed to catch every word. "He promised exposure and mentorship, but all I got was a corner in a studio and secrecy, while he sold my work as his own for huge profits." The guests, many of whom were prominent figures in the art world, looked at Ethan with a mix of disbelief and disdain. His shoulders slumped, his usual charm dissipated into the air, leaving behind the shell of a man exposed by his own greed and deceit. One furious collector stood up, his voice booming across the room. "You sold me a lie. I demand a refund, Ethan. How could you?" His outcry was a catalyst. More voices rose in agreement, demanding justice for the deception they had unknowingly supported. Lana, who had been standing by him in what she assumed was her moment of social ascent, now recoiled as if struck. "I didn't sign up to marry a fraud," she yelled, her voice shrill. "We're done, Ethan." She stormed out, her exit as dramatic as the scandal unfolding. Reporters, quick to sense the magnitude of the scandal, began furiously taking notes, their cameras flashing. The air was electric, charged with the thrill of downfall and the drama of truth unveiled. Seeing an opportunity not just for vengeance, but for rightful recognition, I stepped forward once more, seizing the moment to turn the tide. "Ladies and gentlemen," I began, my voice clear and commanding over the noise. "Tonight has been a revelation not just of deceit but of true talent. This young man, Alex Mercer, is the real artist behind the paintings you've admired tonight." The room quieted, eyes turning to Alex, who stood a little taller under the gaze of the art world's elite. As his agent, I'm proud to present his genuine work, not just for sale, but for the recognition he rightfully deserves. We welcome galleries, collectors, and art lovers to support true talent, unshadowed by deceit. The shift in the room was palpable. Curiosity replaced shock, and several gallery owners and art dealers approached us, their expressions one of intrigue and respect. "Mr. Mercer, could we discuss potential exhibitions?" one gallery owner asked, her tone eager and genuine. "Absolutely," I replied, smiling at Alex, who was finally receiving the recognition he deserved. As the crowd began to buzz with positive murmurs and discussions of potential deals, I looked over at Ethan, now a bystander in his own downfall. His empire, built on lies and exploitation, had crumbled. 4 years had flown by since that explosive night at the exhibition. Life, it seemed, had settled into a rhythm more beautiful and fulfilling than I ever could have imagined. Alex and I, now not just partners in business but in life, had woven our paths together. The morning light filtered through our bedroom window, casting playful shadows on the wall. Alex, already awake, was sketching by the window, his fingers moving deftly over the paper. Our little boy, Max, was already sitting at the table, munching on his breakfast. "Mommy, look." Max held up his crayon masterpiece, colors sprawling across the page in wild abandon. "That's amazing, buddy. You're gonna be just like Alex," I said, ruffling his hair. Alex joined us, placing a kiss on my head and then on Max's. "He's got your creativity, Lillian. We might have a little artist on our hands." Life had indeed been kind, but it wasn't just our family flourishing. Alex's career as an artist had skyrocketed, his genuine talent now recognized and celebrated far and wide. And me, stepping into the role of his agent, I found a passion for advocating and nurturing real talent, something that gave me a deep sense of fulfillment. As we sat at the breakfast table, the phone rang. I answered, still smiling from our morning banter. "Lillian Carter," I greeted. "Lillian, it's Diane from Galleria Moderna. We just wanted to confirm Alex's solo exhibit next month. We're expecting a massive turnout." "That's fantastic, Diane. We're all set on our end. Alex has some incredible pieces ready to go," I replied, my heart swelling with pride. After the call, I looked over at Alex, who was now helping Max with his crayon choices. "Another packed house expected, Mr. Mercer. Seems you're the man of the hour, yet again." Alex chuckled, wrapping an arm around me. "Only because I have an amazing agent. And the best family a guy could ask for." Our lives were a stark contrast to the chaos that had engulfed Ethan. Plagued by lawsuits from galleries, museums, and private collectors, his world had crumbled. The last we heard, he had fled the country, a broken man chased away by the weight of his own deceit. The scandal that once threatened to stain my life had instead cleared the path to this new beginning. I had not only found success in business, but had found love and built a family on foundations of trust and genuine support.